You've been lied to your entire life. They taught you that reality is solid, structured, built on facts, that you can measure things, prove them, trust them. But what if I told you that's the biggest trick ever played on you? Because reality isn't built on what's there, it's built on what's missing. And once you understand that, everything you believe collapses. Let me show you. A blank page is empty until you start drawing. At first, every stroke adds meaning, but push too far and suddenly it's all noise. The image disappears. Now ask yourself, what if your perception of reality works the same way? You think you see life clearly, success, failure, meaning. But what if none of it exists the way you think it does? The truth is, nothing and everything aren't opposites. They are the same, and that's why they never wanted you to figure this out. Stay with me, because once you see this, there's no going back. They've trained you to think reality is made of things, objects, facts, truths. But here's what they never told you. Everything only exists because of what isn't there. A word only means something because of what it excludes. A pattern only exists when something is missing. So what happens when you remove every contrast, every separation? Does reality still exist, or does it disappear? Here's the uncomfortable truth. The difference between nothing and everything is an illusion. The second you grasp that, everything starts to fall apart. Take a blank page, pure emptiness. No lines, no marks, just open space. Now draw a single line. Suddenly it's no longer nothing. That one stroke defines the page, carves meaning out of the void. Keep adding more, shapes, patterns, details, and it begins to take form. But push too far, and the image disappears. Overload the page with too much detail, and it turns into chaos. Nothing has turned into everything, and everything has collapsed back into nothing. Now here's where it breaks your reality. This isn't just about a page. This is how reality works. The more you add, thoughts, distractions, beliefs, the more you lose clarity. The world bombards you with noise to keep you from realizing a truth that would change everything. Real power comes from what you remove, not what you add. Some of the greatest minds in history, like Tesla, Einstein, Da Vinci, knew the truth. They didn't just seek knowledge. They mastered the art of empty space. Because clarity doesn't come from knowing more. It comes from removing distractions. Want proof? Think about your own life. When was the last time you sat in total silence? No phone, no notifications, no mental clutter. Here's an exercise called the 3-minute void practice. Close your eyes. Imagine erasing everything. Your thoughts, your identity, even your sense of self. Just exist in nothingness for 3 minutes. That's where everything begins. That's the space where real breakthroughs happen. You've been trained to fear stillness. Silence makes you uncomfortable. Being alone with your thoughts feels unnatural. Ever wonder why? Because if you ever truly embraced nothing, you'd discover the one truth that would make the entire system collapse. Nothing is the most powerful state you can be in. Look at nature. Where does a tree grow? In empty space. Where do ideas form? In silence. Even in quantum physics, what we once thought was empty space is actually filled with limitless energy. Everything comes from nothing. This is why monks meditate for hours, why geniuses spend time in deep thought, why your most powerful ideas don't come when you're trying, but when you let go. Exercise, the void manifestation technique. Find a quiet space with no distractions. Close your eyes and visualize absolute nothingness, a black void. No thoughts, no identity, just stillness. Hold that state for 2 to 3 minutes. Now, introduce a single desire and watch it emerge effortlessly from the void. Try this for 7 days and see what happens. But here's the hard truth. Your brain is under constant attack. Every second you're bombarded with social media, news, ads, endless noise. You're drowning in information, but starving for wisdom. And that's not an accident. Society keeps you distracted because a mind that never experiences stillness never realizes its true power. Look at the elite. Steve Jobs, Einstein, top CEOs, they all wore the same outfit every day. Why? Because removing unnecessary choices frees the mind for what really matters. Challenge. For the next 24 hours, eliminate one major source of mental clutter. No social media, no news, no random YouTube scrolling, just silence. Observe what happens. What you'll notice is that your intuition sharpens, your creativity explodes, and you start seeing what was always hidden in plain sight. Everything you want, money, purpose, clarity, success, is already there. It's just buried under too much noise. Want real power? Stop adding. Start removing. The more you add, the less clarity you have. Power comes from stillness. Nothing isn't emptiness, it's infinite potential. Everything is born from the void. Your brain is overloaded on purpose. The system keeps you distracted so you never see your true power. The hidden code of reality. You've been playing a rigged game. Reality isn't what you think it is. From the moment you were born, you were trained to see the world in a specific way. A way that was designed for you, not by you. The way you define truth, success, and identity isn't reality itself. It's a mental framework that was installed in your mind. And here's the part no one tells you. What if the world you experience isn't just perceived, but constructed? Patterns don't exist on their own. They are imposed. You aren't just receiving reality, you're creating it. This is why two people can witness the same event and walk away with completely different versions of the truth. Your mind doesn't perceive what's real. It perceives what it expects to be real. Now here's where it gets powerful. If you could break that expectation, you wouldn't just change how you see reality. You could bend reality itself. How the dots control your perception. Imagine staring at an infinite field of dots. If the dots are spread out, your brain connects them. You see patterns, shapes, meaning. But if those same dots are crammed together too tightly, everything collapses into chaos. Now think about your life. When you focus on a few details, you create a clear story. When you're overloaded with too much information, everything turns to noise. This is why people who binge news, opinions, and social media feel more confused, anxious, and powerless than ever. Their mental framework is breaking down, but they haven't learned how to impose a new one. A controlled mind sees only one pattern. A free mind sees patterns as illusions. The question is, which one are you? Let's test it. Take any belief you hold about yourself, something you think is undeniably true. Now ask yourself, where did this belief come from? Did I experience it firsthand, or was it repeated into my mind? If I grew up in a completely different culture, would I still believe it? If your answer is no, then that belief is not truth. It's just a pattern you were trained to accept. And here's the thing. If a belief is just a pattern, then it can be rewritten. Are patterns discovered or created? The reality-bending question. Look up at the night sky. A child sees random points of light. An astrologer sees cosmic messages. A physicist sees mathematical precision. A poet sees divine order. Same stars, same reality. Completely different interpretations. Now here's the uncomfortable question. Are those patterns being discovered, or are they being created? This doesn't just apply to the stars, it applies to everything. Your emotions, your identity, the meaning you give to your experiences. Reality isn't something you passively observe. It's something you actively construct based on the patterns your mind is trained to see. And once you understand that, you can start bending the rules. Because if patterns are flexible, then reality is malleable. The secret. They never wanted you to know. Those who control the patterns control perception, and those who control perception control reality. This is why society teaches you to see the world in a fixed way. Why you are given labels, categories, rigid definitions of success and failure. Why you were never encouraged to question the structure of your thoughts. They don't need to control you directly. They just need to control how you think. Once your framework is set, you will automatically filter out anything that doesn't fit. This is why people fight to defend false beliefs. Because once a pattern is locked in, it becomes reality itself. Here's the way out. Question the pattern. Dismantle the structure. See beyond the illusion. For the next 24 hours, challenge yourself to question everything. Every assumption, every label, every belief you take for granted. Ask yourself, is this something I know or something I was trained to believe? The next level. Rewriting your mental code. You're not just experiencing reality, you're generating it. And if you knew how to rewrite the programming language of your mind, you could reshape your entire world. In the next chapter, we go deeper. Words are not just labels. They are the source code of your mind. If you understood how they function at the deepest level, you could rewrite your internal code, alter your perception, and reshape the structure of reality itself. Now we begin. Words are not just symbols. They are the operating system of your reality. Every thought you have is formed through language. Every belief you hold is constructed with words. Your identity, your understanding of the world, the meaning you assign to your experiences, it all comes down to the words you use. But here's what no one ever told you. Those words were never yours to begin with. From the moment you learned to speak, your mind was programmed with a linguistic framework designed to shape your perception. Words are not just tools of communication. They define the limits of what you can conceptualize. If you lack a word for something, you struggle to perceive it. If your language contains contradictions, your thinking contains contradictions. Language does not simply describe reality. It dictates the reality you are capable of experiencing. Words are spells, and you've been under one since birth. Consider the word spelling, the act of forming words, but also the act of casting a spell. This is not a coincidence. Words are structured sequences of meaning that shape consciousness. This is why legal contracts are called spells of binding, why politicians carefully script their speeches, why religious texts are encoded with linguistic precision. The way words are arranged dictates the thought patterns of those who hear them. Now, consider this. If a word described everything, it would describe nothing. A word only has meaning because it does not apply to all things. This is why controlling language is the most powerful form of mind control. If the definitions of words are altered, perception itself is altered. The hidden meaning of everyday words. Words do not mean what you think they mean. Many of the words you use daily carry hidden structures that shape your reality without your awareness. Mortgage, from the Latin mort, death, and gage, pledge. A mortgage is a death pledge, a contract designed to extract labor for decades. Government, govern, to control, plus ment, mind. To govern the mind. Universe, uni, one, plus verse, spoken phrase. Reality as a singular spoken sentence. Understand, to stand under something, to be beneath its authority. Career, from the Latin carus, meaning a wheeled vehicle. A career is a track you are placed on, moving in a predetermined direction. These are not accidents. Language is structured to create a mental framework where certain ideas seem natural and others remain unthinkable. By controlling the language of a society, those in power control the way reality is perceived. How words trap you in the matrix. Try thinking a thought that cannot be put into words. You can't. Language determines the range of ideas you can consciously access. This is why, when new ideas emerge, philosophies, political movements, scientific breakthroughs, new words must be created to contain them. But the reverse is also true. If certain words are removed, the concepts they represent become harder to hold in mind. This is how control is exerted at the deepest level. Remove the word, and you remove the thought. Manipulate definitions, and you manipulate perception. This is why historical texts are rewritten, why certain phrases are banned, why certain ideas are ridiculed until they no longer feel like options. If language is reality's operating system, then whoever writes the dictionary writes the code of human thought. Consider how mass media uses language. Words like crisis, emergency, threat. These are not just descriptions, they are triggers. They generate automatic emotional responses. They bypass critical thinking and enforce narratives. When an event is labeled a crisis, the mind stops analyzing and starts reacting. The language itself dictates the perception of reality. Now take this further. What happens when opposing concepts are merged? When the line between truth and falsehood is blurred through language? Words like misinformation and fact-checking are not neutral. They are structures designed to dictate what is considered real. If something can be labeled as misinformation, it is no longer part of accepted reality, regardless of whether it is true. If an idea can be labeled a conspiracy, it can be dismissed without examination. How to deprogram your mind using language. The first step to breaking free is recognizing that language is not reality. It is merely a tool used to describe it. And like any tool, it can be reshaped and used in different ways. Question every word. Look at the language you use daily. Where did these words come from? What assumptions do they carry? What ideas do they reinforce? Redefine your reality. If words shape perception, then changing your words changes your perception. Instead of saying, I have to do this, say, I choose to do this. Instead of calling something a problem, call it a challenge. These are not trivial shifts. They reprogram your subconscious mind. Eliminate weakening language. Stop using phrases that diminish your power. Remove words like, I can't, I'm just, or it's impossible. Language is the script of your mind. If you constantly reinforce limitations through speech, those limitations become real. Speak with precision. Be exact with your words. Vague language creates vague thinking. Instead of saying, I feel bad, define the feeling, anger, frustration, uncertainty. Precision in language leads to precision in thought. But how to use words to alter reality? If words are the interface between the mind and reality, then learning to control them is the key to reshaping your existence. This is not just about communication, it is about command. Those who understand this do not just speak, they incant. They do not just persuade, they reprogram. Every leader, every magician, every master of influence throughout history has understood one thing. He who controls the words controls the world. Now ask yourself, who controls the words you speak? Where did they come from? What unseen forces have shaped the language in your mind? More importantly, what would happen if you reclaimed control? Once you grasp this, you will never see the world the same way again. Reality is not what you think. It's what you assume. Everything around you seems structured, solid, defined. Objects have shape. Events unfold in a sequence. Your thoughts feel like they have meaning, but this perception is an illusion. Reality isn't made of things. It's made of relationships. And those relationships only exist because your mind imposes them. Remove the labels. Stop defining reality in terms of forms. What's left? Something that feels both infinite and empty at the same time. This is the underlying fabric of existence, raw, unstructured potential before interpretation locks it into shape. If form is what you see, formlessness is what allows seeing to occur. If form is content, formlessness is context. The mistake? Thinking reality is made of form alone. In truth, form and formlessness are not opposites. They are the same thing, seen from different angles. And once you grasp this, you'll see why reality isn't as fixed as you were led to believe. How structure is created from nothing. In mathematics, every number falls into one of four categories: positive, negative, non-positive, non-negative. At first, this seems simple, but look closely. Positive and negative are clear opposites, each with a defined structure. But non-positive and non-negative, they exist in a strange space between definitions, neither something nor nothing. They are the gaps between opposites. This same pattern exists everywhere: light and dark, sound and silence, being and non-being. These are not separate forces fighting for dominance. They are reflections of a deeper structure that contains them both. What does this mean for you? It means your world is not built from solid things. It is built from the contrast between what you notice and what you ignore. How your mind creates separation, and why it's an illusion. The human brain categorizes reality to make sense of it. It breaks the infinite flow of experience into objects, concepts, identities. But these divisions are artificial. Where does your body end and the world begin? At your skin, at the electromagnetic field surrounding you, at the point where sensory perception fades. There is no clear dividing line. The separation you perceive is not real, it is a mental construct. This is not just philosophy, it's physics. On a quantum level, the particles that make up your body are not separate from the space around you. They interact, exchange energy, and blur together. The only thing making them distinct is your mind's insistence on categorization. The ultimate secret, the hidden balance of reality. Ancient knowledge already understood this. The Taoists spoke of yin and yang, seemingly opposite forces that, in truth, are one. The Hermeticists spoke of polarity, opposites that are the same at different degrees. Modern physics confirms this. Duality is an illusion. You have been taught to see the world in opposites: good versus bad, success versus failure, self versus other. But these distinctions only exist because you believe in them. There is no real separation, no real distinction. The moment you recognize this, you step outside the system. You stop playing by its rules because you see that the rules themselves are constructs. How to use this knowledge to reshape your reality. If reality is not made of fixed structures but of relationships between form and formlessness, then the key to controlling reality is to master the space between. Learn to see the invisible. Instead of focusing on what is present, look for what is absent. In conversations, pay attention to what is not being said. In situations, observe what is missing rather than what is there. In thoughts, notice the gaps between them rather than the thoughts themselves. Dissolve mental boundaries. Question every category you assume to be true. Where do concepts like self and other truly begin or end? If you strip away labels, what remains? Master the power of empty space. The strongest structures are not made of solid material, but of carefully balanced voids. In design, negative space defines the beauty of a composition. In music, silence creates rhythm and meaning. In thought, the gaps between ideas hold the real power. Once you integrate this, you stop being controlled by the rigid structures imposed on you. You gain the ability to move between definitions, see beyond fixed categories, and shape reality itself. You have been told that intelligence is the highest power, that the more you know, the more control you have. But what if intelligence itself is a limitation? What if true power comes not from knowing, but from unknowing? This is the last key to breaking the system entirely. The hidden cost of intelligence. Why knowing can be a prison. Intelligence is not the key to power. It's the lock on your cage. You've been taught that intelligence is power, that the more you know, the more control you have. That if you just gather enough information, analyze enough data, think deeply enough, you'll unlock some hidden mastery over life. But what if the opposite is true? What if knowing too much, thinking too much, analyzing too much is the very thing keeping you trapped? Throughout history, the greatest minds were not those who knew the most, but those who learned to unknow, to strip away unnecessary knowledge, to move beyond analysis into direct experience. There's a reason why Zen monks spend years meditating on emptiness, why sages speak in paradoxes, why the highest levels of mastery often involve unlearning rather than learning. Because knowledge can be a tool, but it can also be a cage. If you become too dependent on information, you lose access to something deeper. Intuition, raw perception, the ability to shape reality without being weighed down by logic. Intelligence is a double-edged sword. Use it correctly, and it becomes a gateway. But misuse it, and it becomes the very thing that holds you back. Maybe the real magic isn't in seeing through the illusion, but in appreciating how amazing it is that we can experience anything at all. In a universe that's mostly empty space, we somehow exist to witness it, think about it, and share our thoughts with others. So next time you look around, remember, you're part of the greatest magic show ever created. The stage is set, the performance is running, and you're both the audience and the performer. The question isn't whether it's real. The question is what you'll do with your part in the show. The number 0 stands as one of the most significant discoveries in human history. Think about it. Before 0, people couldn't express nothing, couldn't do complex math, couldn't build the modern world we see today. 0 changed everything. But 0 is more than just a number. It represents the void, the empty space from which everything emerges. In physics, we see 0 as the vacuum state, the lowest possible energy level. Yet quantum mechanics tells us this void isn't truly empty. It bubbles with virtual particles popping in and out of existence. This connects directly to ancient wisdom. Many spiritual traditions speak of creation emerging from nothingness. The Tao Te Ching says, the Tao gave birth to 1, 1 gave birth to 2, 2 gave birth to 3, 3 gave birth to all things. That initial void, that 0 state, contains infinite potential. 0 teaches us profound truths about reality. Just like how adding or multiplying by 0 transforms numbers, the void transforms energy into matter. The Big Bang itself may have emerged from a 0-point field, a quantum vacuum that suddenly expanded into our universe. In our daily lives, we fear emptiness, silence, stillness. We fill every moment with noise and activity. But 0 shows us that emptiness isn't negative. It's pregnant with possibility. The blank canvas enables art. The quiet mind enables insight. The empty cup can be filled. 0 also reveals the limits of our normal thinking. We can't truly imagine nothing. Try to picture absolute emptiness. Your mind will always insert some frame of reference. This points to a deeper truth. Our usual way of seeing reality is incomplete. This links back to what we discussed about the grand illusion. Our minds create models of reality, but those models have gaps. 0 marks the edge of what we can conceptualize. Beyond that edge lies mystery, the source from which existence springs. The concept of 0 bridges science and spirituality. In mathematics, Zero is both a number and not a number. It's a placeholder that gives meaning to other digits. In meditation, emptiness is both void and fullness. It's the ground of being that gives rise to all forms. Zero teaches us about death, too. We fear death as a final zero, an ending. But just as zero in mathematics enables whole new levels of calculation, death may be a gateway to other dimensions of existence. The void between lives could be like the quantum vacuum, seeming empty but full of potential. This has practical implications. By embracing emptiness in small ways, through meditation, fasting, silence, we prepare ourselves for the ultimate encounter with zero. We learn that absence creates space for presence. Loss makes room for renewal. Zero points to the cyclic nature of existence. In binary code, sequences of ones and zeros create all digital information. In life, cycles of being and non-being create the rhythm of existence. Birth and death, waking and sleeping, inhaling and exhaling, all mirror this fundamental pattern. The power of zero extends to personal growth. Often, we need to let go, to become empty, before we can transform. Like a cup that must be emptied before it can be filled with something new, we sometimes need to release old patterns to allow new possibilities. This emptying isn't about losing yourself. It's about touching the zero point, that pure potential at your core. From there, you can choose who to become. The void enables freedom. Looking at zero this way changes how we see life's challenges. Losing a job, ending a relationship, facing illness. These zeros in our lives aren't just endings. They're portals to new beginnings, if we can face them with awareness. Zero teaches balance, too. In accounting, credits and debits must sum to zero. In nature, energy is neither created nor destroyed. These patterns suggest a deeper harmony underlying existence, one that includes both something and nothing, being and non-being. As we face the great mysteries, consciousness, death, the nature of reality, zero offers a key insight. The answer may not be finding something, but recognizing nothing. Not adding, but subtracting. Not knowing, but unknowing. This brings us to the consciousness paradox we'll explore next. How can awareness, seemingly something, arise from the brain, seemingly nothing but atoms? The power of zero may hold clues to this fundamental mystery. The question of consciousness remains one of the deepest mysteries we face. What makes you, you? How does a collection of atoms and neurons create the rich inner experience of being alive and aware? Science tells us our brains process information through billions of neural connections. But this doesn't explain how these physical processes translate into subjective experience. The feeling of seeing red, the taste of chocolate, the sensation of joy. This gap between objective brain activity and subjective experience is what philosophers call the hard problem of consciousness. Think about it. You can map every neuron firing in someone's brain while they look at a sunset. But that doesn't tell you anything about their lived experience of the beautiful colors and emotions they feel. The physical and the experiential seem to exist in two different domains. This leads us to a fascinating paradox. Consciousness appears to both exist and not exist simultaneously. We know with absolute certainty that we are conscious. It's the one thing we can't doubt, since doubting requires consciousness. Yet, when we try to study it objectively or explain how it arises from physical matter, it seems to slip through our fingers. Some theorists propose that consciousness might be fundamental to the universe, like space, time, and matter. Rather than emerging from complex arrangements of unconscious particles, perhaps consciousness is woven into reality at its most basic level. This could explain why it seems impossible to reduce consciousness to purely physical processes. Others suggest consciousness is an illusion, that our sense of being a unified, continuous self is a story our brains tell us to make sense of all the parallel neural processing happening beneath the surface. But if consciousness is an illusion, who or what is being fooled by the illusion? The paradox deepens when we consider artificial intelligence. As AI systems become more sophisticated, how will we determine if they develop genuine consciousness? They might perfectly simulate conscious behavior and claim to have inner experiences, but could we ever know if they truly feel anything? This connects back to our discussion of zero. Just as zero bridges the abstract and concrete, consciousness seems to bridge the physical and mental realms. Both concepts challenge our usual ways of thinking about reality. The implications are profound. If consciousness is fundamental, rather than emergent, it suggests the universe itself might be conscious at some level. This doesn't mean rocks and atoms have human-like awareness, but rather that consciousness exists on a spectrum, with different configurations of matter expressing different degrees and types of experience. This perspective could resolve the paradox. Consciousness neither purely exists nor doesn't exist, but manifests in various forms throughout nature. Like zero, it might be both real and abstract, both present and absent, depending on how we look at it. Consider your own consciousness right now. You're processing these words, forming thoughts, perhaps feeling emotions or physical sensations. Yet if you try to directly observe your consciousness, to catch it in the act, it becomes elusive. The moment you try to examine it, you're already one step removed, creating an infinite regression of the observer trying to observe itself. This self-referential nature of consciousness creates another paradox. We can't step outside our consciousness to study it objectively, since consciousness is the very thing doing the studying. It's like trying to see your own eyes without using a mirror, or trying to bite your own teeth. The mystery of consciousness forces us to question our basic assumptions about reality. We tend to think of the world as made up of objective, physical things that exist independently of observation. But quantum physics suggests observation itself plays a role in determining reality. Perhaps consciousness and physical reality are more deeply intertwined than we imagine. This brings us to questions about death and survival. If consciousness is fundamental rather than emergent, what happens to it when the brain dies? Does individual consciousness dissolve back into a universal field of awareness? Does it transform into other forms, or does it continue in ways we can't yet comprehend? These questions might seem purely philosophical, but they have practical implications for how we live our lives and face death. Understanding the nature of consciousness could transform our approach to mental health, education, technology, and spiritual practice. As we move forward, keep in mind that the paradox of consciousness might not be a problem to solve, but rather a feature of reality to appreciate. Like zero, it might be pointing us toward deeper truths about the nature of existence itself. The creation matrix exists as the foundation of everything we experience. Think of it as the basic code that runs our reality. Much like computer code runs software, but infinitely more advanced. This structure holds together the physical world and connects it with consciousness in ways we're just starting to grasp. Let's break down what makes up this matrix. At its core, we find pure energy, the raw material of existence. This energy doesn't just sit still. It moves, flows, and transforms based on precise mathematical principles. These principles create patterns that repeat throughout nature, from tiny atoms to massive galaxies. Scientists have discovered that empty space isn't really empty at all. It bubbles with quantum activity where particles appear and disappear in an endless dance. This quantum foam, as they call it, forms the smallest building blocks of the creation matrix. It's where matter and energy merge, where time becomes flexible, and where consciousness might find its roots. The matrix operates through several key layers. The first layer deals with physical reality, the stuff we can see, touch, and measure. But beneath that lies the quantum layer, where normal rules don't apply. Things can exist in multiple states at once, and particles separated by vast distances can affect each other instantly. Going deeper, we find the information layer. Here, the matrix stores and processes data about everything that exists. Each particle, each wave of energy, each thought carries information that becomes part of this vast network. Some researchers suggest this might explain phenomena like synchronicity and intuition. We're all connected to this universal database. What makes the creation matrix truly fascinating is how it responds to consciousness. Our thoughts and intentions seem to influence how this energy behaves. This isn't just speculation. Experiments have shown that the mere act of observation can change how particles behave at the quantum level. The matrix uses sacred geometry, specific shapes and proportions that show up everywhere in nature. The spiral of a shell, the arrangement of seeds in a sunflower, the structure of galaxies. They all follow these patterns. These aren't random coincidences, but expressions of the underlying mathematical principles that guide creation. Time works differently within the matrix. Instead of flowing in one direction like an arrow, it might exist all at once, like a complete book, where past, present, and future are all equally real. This could explain reports of precognition and déjà vu, moments when people glimpse other points in this timescape. Energy flows through the matrix in specific ways, creating what ancient cultures called ley lines or dragon paths. These energy currents might influence everything from animal migration patterns to the locations where ancient civilizations built their sacred sites. Modern science is starting to detect and measure these energy fields using sensitive equipment. The creation matrix maintains balance through feedback loops. When something goes too far in one direction, counterforces automatically activate to restore equilibrium. This self-correcting mechanism keeps reality stable while still allowing for growth and change. Colors play a special role in how the matrix expresses itself. Different frequencies of light carry different types of information and energy. This explains why colors can affect our moods and why certain combinations appear so often in nature. The matrix uses color as both a coding system and a way to transfer energy. Numbers hold particular significance within the matrix. Certain numbers and ratios appear repeatedly in nature and seem to guide how reality organizes itself. The Fibonacci sequence, the golden ratio, and other mathematical patterns serve as instructions for growth and formation throughout the natural world. The matrix stores information holographically, meaning each part contains information about the whole. This explains how psychics might access information about distant places or times, and why ancient wisdom traditions teach that we can find truth by looking within. Our DNA interacts directly with the creation matrix. Recent research suggests DNA can send and receive information through quantum fields, connecting us to this vast network of consciousness and energy. This might explain phenomena like cellular memory and inherited trauma. Understanding the creation matrix changes how we see reality. We're not separate observers, but active participants in an interconnected system. Our thoughts, beliefs, and actions ripple through the matrix, affecting everything else in subtle but real ways. By learning about these patterns and principles, we can work more effectively with the natural flows of energy and information. This knowledge helps explain many mysteries about consciousness, reality, and human potential that have puzzled us for centuries. The creation matrix shows us that everything connects in meaningful ways. Nothing exists in isolation. Each thought, each action, each moment links to everything else through this incredible cosmic web of energy and information. The numbers keep showing up everywhere. At first, you might think it's random. Seeing 1111 on your clock, license plate 333 passing by. or getting $444.44 in change. But these patterns hold deeper meaning. Throughout history, people noticed these number sequences appearing during major life events. Ancient cultures built their beliefs around sacred numbers. The Egyptians used them in pyramids, the Greeks in architecture, and Native Americans in their ceremonies. These number patterns act like signals from beyond our physical reality. They show up right before big changes or decisions in our lives. Think about the last time you saw repeating numbers. What happened next? Let me share what these common patterns mean. Seeing 111 or 1111 marks new beginnings and opportunities coming your way. It's telling you to pay attention to your thoughts since they're manifesting faster than usual. 222 brings balance and harmony, a sign you're on the right path. 333 means spiritual guides are near, supporting your growth. 444 represents stability and protection, while 555 signals major life changes ahead. But here's what most people miss. These numbers aren't just random messages. They follow precise mathematical patterns found throughout nature. The same sequence that creates a nautilus shell or arranges sunflower seeds appears in these spiritual numbers. This is called the Fibonacci sequence, and it connects everything in existence. The pattern goes deeper. Each number carries a unique vibration or frequency. When you keep seeing certain numbers, you're tuning in to those specific frequencies. It's like catching radio signals from the universe. These frequencies can affect your mood, decisions, and life direction. Your birth date contains your personal number pattern. By adding all the digits until you get a single number, you find your life path number. This number reveals your core purpose and natural talents. For example, if you were born on June 15th, 1990, add 6 plus 1, plus 5 plus 1, plus 9, plus 9, plus 0 equals 31, then 3 plus 1 equals 4. You're a life path 4, meaning you're built for creating solid foundations and bringing order to chaos. The patterns show up strongest during major life transitions. They often appear when you're about to meet someone significant, change jobs, or face an important choice. Pay attention to what you're thinking about when you notice these numbers. The universe is trying to guide you. Some people dismiss these patterns as coincidence. But probability calculations show these sequences appear far more often than random chance would allow. Scientists studying consciousness have found these patterns might be how our reality communicates with itself. You can start working with these patterns consciously. When you notice repeating numbers, stop and check your thoughts and feelings. What were you just thinking about? What decisions are you facing? The numbers often confirm you're on track or warn you to reconsider. Write down the numbers you see and what's happening in your life at those times. After a few weeks, you'll start seeing clear connections. The patterns become a personal guidance system, helping you make better choices. Beyond personal guidance, these number patterns point to a deeper truth. Everything is connected through mathematical principles. The same patterns organizing galaxies and DNA sequences show up in your daily life as spiritual messages. This hidden pattern language bridges the physical and spiritual aspects of reality. It proves we're part of an intelligent universe that communicates with us constantly. We just need to learn how to read the signs. Start paying attention to the numbers around you. Notice which ones keep appearing. Look up their meanings, but trust your intuition too. Sometimes a number's significance for you might differ from traditional interpretations. The patterns are always there, waiting to be noticed. They're like trail markers on your life path, confirming you're headed in the right direction or suggesting course corrections. Once you understand their language, you'll never feel lost or alone. This ancient system of guidance through numbers has helped countless people navigate life's challenges. It's available to everyone, requiring no special tools or training, just awareness and attention to the patterns already showing up in your life. The next time you see repeating numbers, pause and tune in. The universe is sending you a message, using the universal language of mathematics to guide you toward your highest good. Building on our earlier discussion about patterns, how we often seek them out or form them ourselves, let's shift our focus to the words we use daily. Words are powerful tools. They shape our thoughts, influence our feelings, and impact those around us. Yet, we often overlook the deeper significance they carry. Think about a simple greeting like "How are you?" We toss it around as a casual way to say hello, but do we truly listen for the answer? The words imply concern and interest, but sometimes they become routine, losing the genuine care they originally conveyed. Consider the word failure. It's heavy with negative connotations. When someone says they've failed, it often brings feelings of disappointment or defeat. But what if we looked at failure as a stepping stone? Each setback is a lesson, an opportunity to grow. By changing how we perceive the word, we alter its impact on us. Language shapes our reality. The words we choose can either limit us or set us free. For instance, saying, "I can't do this," closes off possibilities. It sets a boundary that seems unbreakable. However, rephrasing it to, "I haven't figured this out yet," opens up room for growth. It acknowledges the challenge, but leaves space for progress. Let's delve into the word try. When we say we'll try to do something, it often gives us an escape route. It's less committed than saying, "I will do it." Try can subconsciously signal doubt. By being more definitive with our words, we strengthen our resolve. Metaphors and analogies enrich our language, allowing us to express complex ideas simply. Saying someone has a heart of gold immediately conveys kindness and value. These expressions tap into shared understandings, making communication more effective. However, words can also carry hidden biases. Phrases we've heard all our lives might have origins or implications we aren't aware of. It's important to reflect on the language we use to ensure it aligns with our values and doesn't unintentionally harm others. The names we assign to things and people also hold power. Names can influence perception. For example, labeling a group as outsiders creates a division, fostering an us versus them mentality. Choosing inclusive language promotes unity and understanding. Emotions are deeply connected to words. Think about affirmations, positive statements we repeat to ourselves. Saying, "I am capable and strong," can boost confidence and encourage a positive mindset. The words we feed ourselves internally are just as crucial as those we speak aloud. In negotiations or conflicts, wording can determine outcomes. Using "I feel" statements instead of accusatory language helps express personal perspectives without placing blame. This approach fosters open dialogue and resolution. Cultural phrases and idioms add color to our conversations but can be confusing across different backgrounds. Being mindful of our audience ensures our message is clear and respectful. When communicating across cultures, choosing words carefully bridges gaps and builds relationships. Silence between words is significant as well. Pauses allow for reflection and give weight to what has been said. In music, rests are as important as notes. They create rhythm and emphasis. Similarly, thoughtful pauses in speech enhance our communication. Technology has changed how we use words. Texting and social media encourage brevity, leading to abbreviations and emojis. While convenient, this can sometimes dilute the richness of language. Balancing efficiency with expressive depth keeps our interactions meaningful. Listening is a key part of language. Truly hearing what others say, beyond just the words, involves attention to tone and body language. Active listening fosters empathy and strengthens connections. The words we choose can inspire, heal, and motivate. Famous speeches throughout history demonstrate how powerful language can unite people toward a common goal. Inspirational quotes often become mantras that guide us through challenges. On the flip side, words can wound. Negative remarks or harsh criticism can leave lasting scars. Being aware of the impact our words have on others encourages us to communicate with kindness and consideration. Self-talk, the dialogue we have within ourselves, shapes our self-image. Encouraging and supportive inner words build confidence, while negative self-talk can hinder our potential. Cultivating a positive internal dialogue is essential for personal growth. In storytelling, words create worlds. Authors paint vivid images and evoke emotions purely through language. This highlights the immense creative power words hold. As we navigate our daily lives, being mindful of our language enriches our experiences. By choosing words that reflect positivity, inclusivity, and authenticity, we contribute to a more understanding and connected world. Moving forward, let's pay closer attention to the words we use. Let's explore how subtle shifts in our language can transform our perceptions and interactions. Understanding the hidden meanings and implications helps us communicate more effectively and compassionately. Our next discussion will delve into concepts that seem opposite, but share common ground. We'll uncover how embracing these paradoxes can lead to deeper insights and personal development. Building on our previous exploration of how words carry deeper meanings and shape our perceptions, let's consider a fascinating idea. Sometimes things we label as opposites aren't truly opposing forces. Instead, they're different aspects of the same essence. Imagine light and darkness. At first glance, they seem entirely different. However, darkness isn't an entity on its own. It's simply the absence of light. When the sun sets, darkness doesn't emerge from somewhere else. It appears because light diminishes. This realization shows that light and darkness are connected, not opposing forces battling each other. Consider hot and cold temperatures. We often think of them as opposites, yet cold isn't something that exists independently. It's merely a state with less heat. Temperature is a continuous spectrum, and hot and cold are points along that line. Understanding this helps us see that what we perceive as opposites are often interconnected parts of a whole. Emotions provide another example. Take love and hate. They seem like they couldn't be more different, but both are intense feelings that arise from deep connections to someone or something. The line between them can sometimes be thin, highlighting how closely related they are. Recognizing this can lead to a deeper understanding of our own feelings and relationships. In the natural world, we observe cycles that embody this principle. Day turns to night, and night gives way to day. These aren't opposing forces fighting for dominance. They're parts of a continuous cycle that brings balance to life on Earth. Daylight encourages activity and growth, while nighttime allows for rest and restoration. Both are essential for the well-being of all living things. Seasons change from one to the next in a predictable pattern. Spring leads to summer, which transitions to autumn and then to winter. Each season has its unique qualities, but they're all part of the Earth's yearly cycle. The differences between them contribute to the balance of natural systems. Plants grow, bloom, shed leaves, and rest, all in harmony with these changes. In our personal experiences, inhaling and exhaling illustrate how opposites work together. Breathing in brings oxygen into our bodies, and breathing out expels carbon dioxide. These actions are opposite in direction, but are both vital parts of the same life-sustaining process. Without one, the other can't happen. They function together seamlessly to keep us alive. When we look at success and failure, it's easy to see them as opposites. Success brings joy and a sense of achievement, while failure can bring disappointment. However, failure isn't the opposite of success. It's often a stepping stone toward it. Many successful people have faced setbacks along the way. These experiences provide valuable lessons that contribute to future victories. Viewing failure as part of the journey rather than an opposing force can change how we approach our goals. In relationships, conflict and harmony might seem like opposites. Yet, disagreements can lead to growth when handled with care. They encourage open communication and understanding. Through resolving conflicts, relationships can become stronger. This shows that conflict isn't simply the absence of harmony, but can be a pathway to deeper connections. Our emotions fluctuate between feelings like happiness and sadness. While they appear to be opposites, both are essential aspects of the human experience. Embracing the full range of our emotions allows us to live authentically. Ignoring or suppressing certain feelings can lead to imbalance and discomfort. In practices focused on personal energy, acknowledging the interplay of different forces is crucial. Labeling some energies or emotions as negative and trying to eliminate them can create disharmony. Instead, recognizing that all energies have a place helps us find balance within ourselves. This balance enables us to manage our thoughts and actions more effectively. This idea is also present in certain martial arts. Techniques often involve redirecting an opponent's force rather than pushing back directly. By understanding and working with the incoming energy, one can neutralize it without unnecessary struggle. This approach demonstrates how engaging with opposing forces can lead to harmony rather than conflict. Music offers a beautiful illustration of this concept. Harmony arises when different notes come together, some high and some low. The combination of these varied sounds creates something pleasing to the ear. It's not the sameness of the notes, but their differences working together that produce music's richness. When we broaden our perspective to see that supposed opposites are interconnected, we open ourselves to new ways of thinking. Instead of viewing the world in terms of conflicting forces, we start to see how different elements can coexist and complement each other. This shift in mindset can influence how we solve problems, interact with others, and understand ourselves. By letting go of rigid categories, we become more adaptable. This flexibility is key to managing our energy and navigating life's challenges. It allows us to respond to situations with openness rather than resistance. Applying this understanding to our daily lives can have profound effects. For instance, when facing a difficult situation, recognizing that challenges and opportunities are connected can change our approach. Instead of seeing only obstacles, we might find possibilities for growth and learning. In communication, acknowledging that differing opinions aren't necessarily opposing, but can provide a fuller picture, leads to more productive conversations. It fosters an environment where ideas can be shared and explored without the need for one side to win over the other. This concept also encourages us to embrace diversity. Just as contrasting elements in music create harmony, diverse perspectives and experiences enrich our communities. Recognizing the value in differences can lead to more inclusive and supportive environments. As we continue this journey of understanding, the idea that opposites aren't truly opposites becomes a powerful tool. It helps us navigate complexities with a more holistic view. By seeing connections rather than divisions, we can cultivate balance within ourselves and in our interactions with the world. This perspective prepares us to delve deeper into how our consciousness shapes reality. When we acknowledge the interconnectedness of all things, we become more attuned to the influence we have on our surroundings. This awareness empowers us to participate actively in creating the kind of world we wish to live in. Embracing the idea that opposites are aspects of the same whole can lead to a more harmonious and fulfilling life. It invites us to look beyond surface differences and discover the underlying unity in our experiences. As we move forward, let's carry this insight with us, allowing it to inform our thoughts, actions, and relationships. The biggest secret about life and death isn't what most people think. I've spent years researching this topic, and what I found will change how you see everything. This is the ultimate hack, the key that makes sense of it all. Think of your life like a video game. You're playing a character, but you're not just the character. You're the player behind the screen, too. Death isn't the end of the game. It's just your character finishing one playthrough. The real you, the player, keeps going. But here's where it gets interesting. The game doesn't reset exactly the same way each time. Each life builds on the last one. Your soul carries forward the lessons, the growth, and the wisdom. You might not remember the details, but the core learning stays with you. This explains so much about why some people seem to be born with natural talents or deep wisdom. They're not starting from scratch, they're building on previous experience. Those gut feelings you get, that inner knowing, those could be echoes from past lives. The hack is realizing you can use this knowledge right now. Once you understand that death is just a transition, not an end, everything shifts. Fear drops away. You start making choices based on growth rather than survival. You see challenges as opportunities to level up instead of obstacles to avoid. Let me give you a clear example. Say you're facing a difficult decision. Most people make choices based on fear. Fear of loss, fear of failure, fear of death. But with this understanding, you can ask better questions. What will help me grow? What serves my higher purpose? What moves me forward on my path? This isn't just theory. People who grasp this truth live differently. They take meaningful risks. They love more openly. They create more freely. They serve others more willingly. Because they know this life is just one chapter in a much bigger story. But don't mistake this for an excuse to be reckless or ignore this life. Each experience matters. Each relationship teaches something. Each choice creates ripples that affect future lives. The hack is using this knowledge to make better choices now. The pattern we talked about before? It's part of this bigger picture. Those recurring themes in your life aren't random. They're lessons your soul chose to work on. Maybe it's trust. Maybe it's courage. Maybe it's love. Whatever it is, knowing this helps you focus on what really matters. Here's something fascinating. Near-death experiences support this truth. People who've been clinically dead and come back report similar things. A sense of peace, a life review, and most importantly, an understanding that death isn't the end. They return with a completely different perspective on life. Science is catching up, too. Quantum physics shows consciousness might not be limited to the brain. Research into children's memories of past lives reveals patterns too specific to be coincidence. The evidence keeps growing. This hack changes everything about how we live. Instead of seeing death as something to fear, we can see it as a checkpoint in a longer game. Instead of rushing through life trying to accumulate things, we can focus on growing, learning, and helping others. Think about how this changes daily choices. Worried about taking that risk? Remember, you're here to grow. Holding on to old grudges? They'll just follow you to the next life. Better to resolve them now. Feeling stuck? Maybe this is exactly the challenge your soul chose to face. The ultimate hack is using this knowledge to live more fully now. Don't wait for another life to pursue what matters. Don't let fear hold you back. Use this understanding to make choices that serve your highest good and the good of others. This isn't about believing in something. It's about testing it yourself. Pay attention to your intuition. Notice patterns in your life. Look for the lessons in challenges. Start living like someone who knows death isn't the end. The truth is, you picked this life for a reason. These challenges, these relationships, these opportunities, they're not random. They're part of your soul's curriculum. Once you see this, you can stop fighting what is and start using everything as a chance to grow. This is the secret that changes everything. Life isn't about avoiding death. It's about using each experience to become more of who you really are. Death isn't the enemy. It's just a transition to the next level of the game. Use this hack wisely. Let it free you from unnecessary fear. Let it guide you to better choices. Let it help you focus on what truly matters. Because in the end, this life is just one beautiful chapter in your soul's much longer story. Life isn't what we've been told. Right now, you're starting to see through the cracks in what seemed like solid reality. The signs were always there. Those odd coincidences, the déjà vu moments, the strange patterns that made you question if something bigger was at work. Think back to your dreams. How many times have they felt more real than your waking life? That's no accident. Dreams show us glimpses of what lies beyond this constructed reality. They're like holes in the wall of our prison, letting light shine through from the other side. The Matrix isn't just a movie concept. It's the perfect metaphor for our situation. We're living in a sophisticated simulation, but unlike the film, there's no evil AI keeping us here. We chose this experience, this limited perspective, this forgetting of who we really are. You might ask why anyone would choose to forget their true nature. The answer is simple: for the experience itself. Just like you might choose to watch a scary movie or play an intense video game, knowing it's not real, but wanting to feel those emotions anyway. Look at your hand right now. Really look at it. The more you focus, the less solid it appears. That's because nothing here is truly solid. It's all energy, vibrating at different frequencies to create the illusion of physical matter. Science has proven this, but we still cling to the idea of solid objects because that's what our programmed senses tell us. The people in your life aren't random. They're other conscious beings who agreed to play their roles in your story, just as you agreed to play a role in theirs. Every interaction, every relationship, every conflict serves a purpose in this grand learning experience. Death isn't the end. It's more like logging out of a very convincing virtual reality game. When we die, we remember everything. We reconnect with our full awareness, our complete consciousness that exists beyond this limited 3D experience. That's why near-death experiences often share common elements. People glimpse their true state of being. Time itself is part of the illusion. Past, present, and future exist simultaneously. We just experience them linearly because that's how this reality is structured. That's why some people can see future events or remember past lives. They're briefly breaking through the programmed limitations. Your thoughts create your reality more directly than you've been taught. The physical world is just a delayed reflection of consciousness. When you truly grasp this, manifestation becomes natural. You're not creating something new. You're selecting from infinite existing possibilities. The feeling of separation from each other, from nature, from the divine, that's the core illusion. We're all expressions of the same consciousness, playing different roles, having different experiences. Like waves on an ocean, we appear separate on the surface, but are one at the source. Pain and suffering exist in this reality, but they're not punishments. They're tools for growth, catalysts for expansion. Every challenge you face is an opportunity you set up for yourself before starting this experience. That doesn't make the pain less real, but it gives it meaning. The big secret isn't that we're trapped in an illusion. It's that we're free to change it once we recognize it for what it is. Your consciousness isn't limited to your body or brain. It extends far beyond these temporary vehicles we use to experience physical reality. As you begin to see through the illusion, you might feel scared or overwhelmed. That's normal. You're questioning everything you thought was real. But don't worry. You don't have to figure everything out at once. The truth reveals itself gradually, in perfect timing, with your readiness to receive it. You're not here by accident. You're not just a random collection of cells that gained consciousness. You're an infinite being having a temporary human experience. The illusion is convincing because it needs to be for the experience to serve its purpose. Breaking free doesn't mean you have to leave your life behind. It means living with new awareness, making conscious choices rather than running on autopilot. It means recognizing the game while still playing it, but playing it better, because now you know the rules. The next time you feel stuck or limited, remember, those limitations are part of the illusion. They're not your true state. You have access to infinite possibilities. You just need to remember who you really are. This isn't about escaping reality. It's about seeing it clearly for the first time. The illusion served its purpose, but now it's time to wake up. The truth has always been within you, waiting to be remembered. The truth is both simple and profound. Life, death, and what lies beyond are not separate events, but parts of one continuous flow. Many of us fear death or spend countless hours wondering what happens after. But this fear and uncertainty come from seeing ourselves as separate from everything else. Through human history, we've created stories and beliefs about death to comfort ourselves. Some picture golden gates, others think of reincarnation, and many believe nothing exists after our last breath. But these are just ideas we've made to deal with something that seems too big to face. The real truth is that we never truly die because we were never truly born. What we call I, or me, is like a wave in the ocean. The wave rises, moves, and falls back into the water, but it was always water. It never stopped being water. In the same way, we rise from and return to the basic fabric of existence. This isn't about religion or faith. Look at nature. Nothing is ever destroyed, it just changes form. A leaf falls and becomes soil. The soil feeds new plants. The cycle goes on. We're part of this same pattern. Think about your deepest sleep when you're not dreaming. There's no sense of time, no you, no thoughts, yet you still exist. Death might be similar. The you that worries about death is just thoughts, memories, and ideas. But beneath that is something that can't be born or die. Many who've had near-death experiences report feeling complete peace and losing all fear of death. They often say it felt like going home. This matches what ancient wisdom traditions have said for thousands of years. What we really are can't be destroyed. Science shows us that energy can't be created or destroyed. Our bodies are made of atoms that once were stars. These atoms will continue existing in new forms long after our bodies are gone. We're not separate from this process. We are this process. The fear of death comes from thinking we're separate beings who will lose everything. But look closely at your experience right now. Can you find a solid, permanent you that could be lost? Or do you find an open space where thoughts, feelings, and sensations come and go? Your true nature is like the sky. Clouds come and go, but the sky remains unchanged. Thoughts, emotions, and experiences pass through, but what you really are stays untouched. This isn't something you need to believe. You can see it directly in your own experience. This understanding doesn't mean life doesn't matter. It matters deeply, but it matters like a dance matters. Not because it leads somewhere, but because it's beautiful right now. When we stop seeing death as an enemy, we can fully embrace life. We don't need to wait for death to recognize this truth. Right now, you can notice that all experiences appear and disappear in awareness. This awareness, your true nature, doesn't come and go. It's what allows all experience to be known. The final truth is that you are not something that needs to survive death. You are the knowing space in which birth and death appear. This isn't a belief to accept, but a reality to recognize as close as your next breath. This recognition brings deep peace, not because it promises eternal life for your personality, but because it shows that what you really are was never in danger. The wave realizes it is water, and all fear of disappearing vanishes. Living with this understanding transforms everything. You can fully engage with life while knowing that nothing real can be lost. You can love completely without the fear of loss that usually holds us back. You can be truly present because you're no longer running from death. This isn't about reaching some special state or having mystical experiences. It's about seeing what's already here, what you already are. The peace you seek isn't found in some future event or after death. It's found in recognizing your true nature now. So the final truth about life, death, and what lies beyond is that they're all appearances in you. Not you, the person, but you, the awareness in which all things arise. This isn't something to believe, but something to see directly. When seen, all questions about death dissolve, because the one who was worried about dying is seen to be just another appearance in that which cannot die.